welcome in episode number 85 of the St0ner Sports Radio podcast. We are live and here on a Be Happy Friday. We're here to recap Week 10 college football, and we're going to give you the recap and rundown of OU against Maine and the preview of OU Missouri. Zach will have all the insights and expectations as we head into the weekend. Plus, we have Thunder update. We've got a development as the Thunder no longer undefeated on the season. We'll discuss what that means for the future of the organization. NFL, big deal, no big deal, makes an appearance, and we visit the sports book where I am still looking to try to get on the board, baby, as we try to survive another week against the spread. Zach, how we doing on a Be Happy Friday here in the St0ner Sports Radio studio?
Feeling impoverished, obviously, based on the picks we've been making this season have not been good. We have been losing. Kind of like Kamala, huh?
Yeah, not a good week if you support boys and girls in blue. As got smoked, baby. We got smoked. Hey, 4 more years of our content king. The content king is back, baby. The content king is back, and boy, am I terrified. But that's all right. You know, hey, you know what? You just got to roll with the punches, right? Got to roll with the punches. You win some, you lose some.
Not the worst thing that happened this week.
No,
with Ben Herbstreit. Ben Herbstreit.
Yeah, look, big time condolences to friend of the show, Kirk Herbstreit. Ben obviously is his dog who's been going around with him college game day for over a year or two now. Met several people, been several good places, good dog all around. Mild-mannered, never a bad moment with the doggo, and had to put the boy down as the cancer had overtaken the poor doggo, and it just is the way it is sometimes. 10 years old, 10 years young, and gone too soon. America's dog had to be laid to rest, and that just means that we will get to see Kirk Herbstreit with a puppy soon. We know how this works. We know how this goes. Now, I don't think it'll be anytime soon. I think Kirk's going to have to wait until that puppy is a little bit older, start traveling with the doggo maybe. Not that I'm not looking forward to a dog possibly taking a dump in front of Al Michaels. I think that needs to happen.
Has to.
I mean, that's what you get for not eating vegetables, you dumb piece of shit. Sad week overall. I think that was definitely the low light. But some good stuff over the weekends for you as well. Let's go ahead and get right into it. College football. R.I.P. to Ben. We're doing this for you, brother. This is your episode. This is all about you, brother. And we're going to do it by celebrating the real football guy. And remember, all football guys go to heaven, so, we know where Ben is.
Except for Favre.
Yeah. That's right. No, Parkinson's couldn't have happened to a better guy. I mean, he's just trying to shake things up a little bit. Couldn't happen to a better person. But look, let's go ahead and start out with what the game that was going on last week when we were doing this. Boise State, San Diego State, 21-0 start for Boise State to start that one off. The Aztecs couldn't really catch up. They had a 14-point fourth quarter, the Aztecs did, but wasn't enough. They lose by 32, 56-24. Ashton Jeanty, 31 carries for 149 yards, 2 touchdowns. Question out of this game, the only one I'm going to ask is, are you still riding the AJ Heisman wagon here, or are some of these lower, more concerted numbers going to kind of ruin that drive of record-breaking single season? I mean, are we still thinking that that's a possibility here, because we're running out of games here?
I don't know if it's going to be record-breaking. I still think he deserves the Heisman. Dude, I mean, we're talking about low yardage games. He has 149 yards.
I
I
do that
mean,
in my sleep. What do you mean? I could do that tomorrow against San Diego State.
he's had one game under 100 yards. It wasn't great, and I'll give him that. It wasn't great, but let's not act like this dude hasn't been having a historic season. I mean, I still pick him for Heisman, although it's definitely. I think Dylan Gabriel's starting to close that gap a little bit. I think Dylan Gabriel's starting to come in, beat some of these better teams. We're looking at the Oregon #1 team in the country. I don't see any reason why Dylan Gabriel wouldn't win it, besides the fact that, Ashton Genty's out here. Barry Sanders. But like you said, running out of games to get there. I don't think he has to get there to win the Heisman. Do you think he
No,
has to
no,
get
no,
there?
no, no, no. I'm not saying he has to do it. I'm just saying I don't know if that's going to be a factor anymore. And the other thing that people don't point out is Barry Sanders did that in 11 games, which is another thing to think about. I know that a lot of people were kind of dunking on Caitlin Clark for they said she played more games than the record that she broke for women's college basketball. Another thing to kind of look at there, but I think that's kind of one of those things where it's like this is just the way it is. They can't control how many games they play, but it does still, in my estimation, make those older records a little bit more impressive because of the condensed scheduling.
Yeah, I think you have to factor that in, and I think after we look at Ashton Genty's 11th game, we'll have a better understanding of where he's really compared to in terms of Barry Sanders.
Yeah, it just means you can't count the conference championship game and the bowl game. That's all it means. I mean, you play 11 regular season games, so I mean, it's not like that's not factored into it. But in Barry Sanders' season, that 11th game was a regular season game, and then they didn't count the bowl game where he had another 180 yards or something like that in the bowl game. That's not included in his record. So that's another thing to kind of take in consideration as well, is the number could have been bigger, but they did not count bowl games towards record-breaking numbers. But that was the only thing to really take away from Friday. Let's move on to Saturday here. Let's start with Georgia, Florida. This game, Georgia was losing at the half 13-6. Zach, I mean, was that shocking to you to see that halftime score scrolling across at the bottom there?
I'm starting not to get too shocked by Georgia trailing at the half. It seems to be more of a trend these days that if Georgia is going to have a bad game, they're going to be trailing in the half and then make the adjustments necessary to basically shut them out for that second half, which they effectively did. Listen, Florida scored one late, and that's fine, but we're talking about Georgia outscoring Florida 28-7 in the second half. I mean, I don't know if I'm too worried about it if I'm a Georgia fan, but it's definitely concerning that we can't go out there in the first half and put something together to be able to beat Florida, who's really just not very good. I mean, we're talking about Florida, who just announced that they're going to keep Bill Napier through 2025. I don't know if that's a good decision. Just because he kept the game close and won a game. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, interesting decision there. But like you said, I think these slow starts for Georgia are becoming more and more frequent, which is the opposite of my Ducks, who like to get off to a fast start then coast the rest of the way. So that matchup would be interesting for me because I would have us winning the first half and then bracing for the second half if they were to meet up in the college football playoff. Speaking of the Ducks, though, 38-17 win over Michigan. Another game where they were up 28-10 at halftime. Didn't really have any contest in the second half. Only allowed 7 points in the second half, just like Georgia only allowed 7 points in the second half. And we kind of expected Michigan to lose this game. I don't think anybody, knowing this Michigan team at this point in the season, was really shocked to see the end result here. But again, just another good performance on the road in the big house. That's not an easy environment to win in. I don't care how good of a team you are. And I think that that's a big thing to showcase. Dylan Gabriel, 294 yards passing and a touchdown. Really a quiet game for him as far as throwing touchdown passes, but you didn't need to because James had 117 yards and a touchdown. The running game very much in full effect for the Ducks in the big house. So kind of shocking there to see the ground game from Jordan James kind of take over there, and instead of Donovan Edwards having a big game. But that's just the way Michigan's been all season. So no shock really there with that result.
Yeah, no shock at all. I think we both expected Michigan to kind of, lay an egg here like they always do. At least this season, we're talking about, I mean, How are you feeling about the coaching situation at Michigan? I'm not a fan right now, and if I'm a Michigan fan, I'm probably not a fan right now. I mean, what's the move? You know, when you're coming off a national championship, you do keep a good portion of that roster, and then I mean, what are you 5-4, 3-3 in the Big Ten after a national championship? I mean, how do you feel about that as a fan?
I think you can't feel good about it, especially the expectations going into the season where you were going to at least be in the playoff picture. That was at least the expectation with the amount of people you had coming back. But I think it says more about the value of the quarterback position, and the fact that Michigan didn't have one is the biggest story here. Coaching wise, I mean, look, more has been less than desirable. I think this is a good. This is kind of out of left field here, but this might be a good time to go grab Mike Gundy. If Michigan wants to go grab Mike Gundy, this is the time to do it, because Oklahoma State fans are ready to ditch him because of two reasons. One, next year would be his 20th season, and two, you just got called poor by your head coach, and three, when it comes to Oklahoma State, if you're going to rebuild, which is going to be what's going to happen next season, because Ollie Gordon is gone, Alan Bowman's gone, it's a rebuilding year, Nick Martin gone. I mean, there are tons of big staples in this Oklahoma State team that are going to be going to the next level, or going to play life, or whatever you want to call it, go sell insurance. There is going to be players gone here, and if you're going to start from the bottom, you don't need Mike Gundy there for Oklahoma State. I think you want him gone. Because if you're going to start fresh, we know what Mike Gundy can do starting fresh. We've seen what he can do. But I think right now, he's overstayed his welcome. I think Michigan could really use somebody like Mike Gundy up there. I think that they wouldn't be upset about that hire. And I think, like I said, it's a different situation, because I think Oklahoma State fans now are kind of ready to kind of let Mike go do whatever.
Yeah, and if you're Michigan, I don't think you go grab Mike Gundy though. I mean, I don't know if that's a winning option at this point. I mean, I don't know what track record you're really looking at that would prove that he can take a team like Michigan with a depleted roster, going into next season with a depleted roster. I don't see that being a good matchup at all. If I'm Michigan, I'm probably looking towards shit. Maybe I go grab Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley.
Really? With nobody there, nobody. I mean, the reason I think Mike Gundy is a better option is because he's been able to do more with less, though. That's been his whole entire career, taking 3-star, 2-star guys and getting teams to 8-9 wins. That's been his whole entire thing. His last losing season was 2005. The guy knows how to work with, like you say, depleted rosters. And now with the transfer portal and stuff, who knows how depleted that roster is going to be? I mean, it's still Michigan. You're still only 1 year removed from a national title appearance. You're telling me you can't sell some kids on that? I think you could sell some kids on that. Plus, it's a fucking big house. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like he's meant more for this Midwestern kind of, I feel like it's more his wheelhouse. I feel like if you're going to get somebody who's used to not having anything, not somebody that needs toys to play with, like Lincoln Riley.
Then maybe you're looking at someone like Cristobal,
Can you pull him away from Miami, though?
I think you can if you're Michigan, like you said. I mean, you're talking about big house. You're talking about Michigan, definitely more of a powerhouse than Miami is. There are plenty of guys you can go get. You might even look at Marvell. And listen, I know that it's been bad this season, but that could be for a number of reasons. We obviously think DJU's pretty bad, so Michigan has options. Maybe you give more another year, see what happens, but fans aren't going to deal with it for much longer.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think time's running out for Michigan. That is for sure. But staying in the Big Ten here, let's go with the primo game of the week, supposedly. 11 a.m. kick. Love when it's not prime time to have the top-ranked teams play each other. Start your morning off hot. And it was Penn State and Ohio State. I told you how this game was going to go. It wasn't going to be with a Penn State W. Now that I think it was going to be this close, no. But again, Penn State can't win big games, Zach. What's going on here? I mean, is James Franklin cooked?
James Franklin might be cooked.
Is that somebody Michigan would be interested in?
I don't know, because he can't beat Ohio State, and I think that's something that Michigan fans would point out immediately.
Exactly.
I think Michigan fans are going to look at his record against Ohio State and say, absolutely fucking not. So no, I don't think he is a
Okay.
target. But here's my thing about Penn State. It's kind of like what Lincoln Riley always says: we're so close. We're so close. We're only 2 plays away from being undefeated. I actually feel that when Clemson's fans, like they're so close, they're right there, but he just cannot beat Ohio State. He cannot beat these big names in the Big Ten. And like when you're watching the game, it's just bad decision making. I mean, we're talking about a subpar performance by Ohio State, if we're being honest. You're looking at 16 of 24, 182 for Will Howard. Judkins only had 95 yards on 14 carries. No one really had an outstanding game for Ohio State, and they're able to light up that defense. I shouldn't say light up. I'm talking about 2 touchdowns, but is it an offense problem for Penn State? I mean, I think that's an obvious issue, right? You have no one really back there at quarterback that can make the throws you need.
Yeah, no, I think you got to hit the nail on the head there. I think that's definitely the problem. No touchdowns in the second half for either of these teams. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Big Ten football at its peak, baby. And yeah, I mean, a win's a win, though. And the team we thought was gonna pull out the win pulls out the win. So I mean, I don't think there's really much to take from that, other than like you said, it's another James Franklin can't get it done moment. It's another offense isn't good enough moment. It's another we're so close, like you said, moment. I think that's what it is. And that's just who you are as Penn State. I mean, maybe you'll get another shot in the Big Ten title game. Who knows? There's still opportunities there, but you're gonna need some help. And unless Oregon decides to drop a couple against teams they shouldn't, I don't see you getting that chance against Ohio State. I'll tell you that much. But you might get a chance at another big game appearance. And I'll be honest, I think Oregon probably thumps the crap out of them because that offense is not good.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with that. I think Oregon has one of the top 3 defenses in college football right now, and that Penn State offense isn't going to be able to move the football at all. I'll be surprised if they get it into the red zone.
Yeah, I would be shocked. So we'll see if it comes on. It might be an Ohio State Oregon rematch, which in that case it wouldn't even matter if the Ducks win or lose that game. They would be a lock for college football playoff. I don't know if I even wouldn't want. I mean, and we would still probably get a first round bye, even though we lost to them because we beat them the first time, and it'd come down to who's rated higher and all this stuff. I think we would still probably win that tiebreaker. So I think that if we take care of business and Ohio State takes care of business all the way down, I'm not even going to be sweating that game if we lose it, to be honest. I don't even think DG should start, to be honest. I think we should just put Dante Moore in there and just say, let's save him for the games that actually matter. I mean, but that's just me. I don't think Dan Lanning will do that. I don't think he's that type of person. But I just think
I don't agree with that either, because I mean you're risking possibly not getting that first round bye. In that situation, I think that you want to guarantee it if you can. Guarantee that number 1 spot. Guarantee home field advantage at least. Actually, you don't even get it.
yeah, it's neutral site. Yeah.
Anymore if you don't get that if you get the bye. So I still want to secure that bye.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's what I think. I think they'll still play, but I think it'll be another must-watch event for sure if it comes down to those teams. But the Big Ten race definitely coming down to just a couple contenders because all these other teams are falling out of contention now. So, but don't sleep on Indiana though. Jesus Christ, don't sleep on Indiana. They might get their shot. Speaking of getting their shot. Duke took their best shot at Miami and had what looked like a stranglehold on this game for a whole entire half. And then I don't know what the hell got into Cam Ward after halftime, but my man went buku bananas crazy and ended up throwing 5 touchdown passes, 53-31, outscoring Duke in the second half, 36-10. I mean, just killing them in the second half. I don't know what Mario Cristobal is saying at halftime. I don't know what he's giving these guys at halftime, but whatever it is working. And people are saying Cam Ward's your Heisman favorite right now. How do you feel about that?
I don't agree with that. I think some of these games have been way too close, and I don't think Cam Ward has had enough good football to warrant him being winning that Heisman race. Top 4, sure. New York, sure, but like I'm not even putting them into that second place conversation yet for Heisman. He's done what he's supposed to do, that's for sure. But let's take a look at it. He had a great game for Xavier Rice-Repos had what?
46 receiving yards, 3
146
touchdowns. My man
receptions on 8
cooked.
receptions. Like on 8 receptions, 3 touchdowns. I mean, he cooked. I mean, how much does that help Cam Ward? You know, that's most. That's most of Cam Ward's yards are what after the catch. You know, we're not. I'm not gonna say too much more on him, and we're looking at a good quarterback. We're not looking at an Heisman winner. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I mean, the Vegas odds have him as the favorite right now. That's why I bring it up, which is interesting. But yeah, Miami gets the win over Duke. Malik Murphy had a really good 2.5 quarters, and that kind of went downhill after that. But hey, I mean, more fight than I thought the Duke would give him. And Duke again, 6-3, exceeding expectations. Just need one more game. And I think they've got a good shot at making our win total predictions for this season look pretty good. I think if you've been staying with us with the picks this year, I know it's been disappointing, but the win total picks might be our saving grace. We don't know yet, but we'll know soon enough. But it's looking pretty good on some of the spots here for that, and it's looking real bad in others. I'm not going to lie to you. We were really high on FSU and really high on the Oklahoma State Cowboys. So that's
you can't blame us. You can't blame us on FSU. You can blame us on the Cowboys though.
Yeah. I guess you can't really blame us on Florida State, but I mean the Oklahoma State again. I just bad. Kentucky hung in there a little bit with Tennessee, had the lead at half. Again, a lot of these lesser teams, trying to get some sort of advantage on the opponents they're playing that are better than them. Up 10-7 at halftime over Tennessee. We know that's not going to be big enough to carry over to the second half, and it was not, as Tennessee gets the win by 10, 28-18. Anything to really take away from this one?
No, nothing special besides, Tennessee has a problem with getting the offense going early, and I think that needs to be addressed. And I think it's a Nico problem, unfortunately. I think that he, obviously has to get warmed up a little bit more before he starts these games, because it doesn't seem like he's all the way there until the third quarter.
Yeah, I agree, and the numbers would suggest that as well. Very efficient quarterback, though. 28-38, 292 yards and a touchdown. He's efficient. That's what you can say about him. And I'm not gonna complain if my quarterback's going out there almost throwing 300 yards.
Yeah, but I wish we had him over here at OU, but
Yeah, but I mean, and the thing about it is like you said, a lot of these big teams, Tennessee, Georgia, just Miami, just starting off slow, and then the second half comes and it's like, oh, here comes the separation. I wonder how much of that trend for some of these big teams is going to end up biting them when it comes playoff time if they're in there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. How big of a hole can you dig yourself out of will probably be the answer to some of those questions. Sticking with the SEC here, shocker. A shocker in Columbia, baby. It's South Carolina 44, Texas A&M 20. I mean, when I say that South Carolina came out and bopped them early and got them good and rubbed their face in it, I mean, I'm not even joking. It was ugly for the Aggies, Zach. What happened to Texas A&M?
Very similar to what happened when they played OU. South Carolina came out and punched them in the mouth real early, and I think that it kind of went from there. I don't think Texas A&M had any fight left in them after the first half. Obviously, held them completely scoreless for the Aggies in the second half. It was a terrible game. We're talking about a career Lamar Sellers game. He only had 13 completions. He went through under 50%. Duke still had 244 yards and 2 touchdowns, but the problem is that Duke can move as well. Now, 144 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 20 carries. Sanders saved me. I mean, we're talking
Rocket Sanders,
South Carolina has some dogs, and I think that's a problem that people aren't realizing, and I'm happy that beating top 10 teams because it makes OU's loss against them look a little bit better than maybe it should. So yeah, I'm a fan. Always a fan of Beamer down there. I love him. I love Beamer.
Yeah, I love some Beamer ball. His dad was a legend. He's trying to shape his own legacy, and he's doing a good job so far. I think he's got some good tools at his disposal, and there's not a lot of environments where Sandstorm touches my heart as much as that environment could if I was there in person. It looks amazing on TV. I can only imagine what it was like that night because that place was bumping. Speaking of bumping, Finally, Zach, finally, I can relish in the fact that Iowa State is no longer undefeated. Texas Tech, the Flying Tortillas from Lubbock, get it done. A late touchdown, 23-22, sneaking one out in Ames. And not going to lie, felt pretty good to see the Cyclones taking this one on the head. Big 12 lovers will hate me for saying that because it makes your conference look like a joke, which it is. But, this is just validation, right?
Yeah, I think it's validation. We're looking at a non-serious team that just had a couple of scheduling look, and I think that, we were talking about that earlier. We were saying Matt Campbell's not going to be able to lead this team to any sort of real victory. We're going to look at, they're playing in the weak Big 12. They're going to start out with, winning a couple of games, but like we kind of predicted, the cannibalization has started.
Yeah, and it stinks when it's this late in the season, but that's kind of how it rolls most of the time. Is once teams get their footing, you start seeing. Most commonly is when teams start a season and end the season, they're a completely different team from one to the other, and you're seeing that take full effect for most teams around the country. So the team that you expect to be playing, that you've watched film on the previous weeks, is not the team you're going to be facing because these players get better as time progresses, or they should be, right? There are exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, there aren't a lot of teams that get worse as the season progresses. And this would be a prime example of Texas Tech, who again was at the top of the Big 12 2 weeks ago. They're back in the hunt, baby, and they have a big game this weekend to try to solidify them with a spot in the Big 12 title game, because now they've got that tiebreaker against Iowa State, and that's going to prove to be big for them if they can continue to rack up some dubs. But a good win for the Red Raiders on the road, and again, unserious team doing unserious things. Example number 5, whatever you want to say.
Exactly.
ACC stuff. Another playoff contender goes down. Clemson loses at home to Louisville, 33-21. Did you get to catch any of this? Because this was again just a dominant performance by a visiting team in a better team's home environment.
No, I did not catch any of this one, unfortunately, and I'm a little upset by this. I was kind of on that Cade Klubnik train, and this dude threw the ball 56 times, completing 33 of them for only 228 yards and 1 touchdown. You telling me 56 throws, you get 1 touchdown? It was not good. But like we said, we were looking at Clemson's schedule, and we said that if there's any team that's probably going to beat them, it's going to be Louisville, and that's what ended up happening. I still think Clemson can make the playoffs with the remaining schedule.
Yeah, no, they're not out of the discussion, but that definitely puts a damper on, like you said, Klubnik's Heisman chances and the chances of people looking at Clemson as a real threat to go deep in the playoff. But a team that could go deep, and boy, would that be fun to go deep, the Indiana Hoosiers, baby. 47-10 whooping of Michigan State, who is really not good. Michigan State, not good at all. But Indiana off to a slow start. They were down 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, and people were going, oh no. Is this going to be the one? And they were like, go, you thought, and then outscored Michigan State 47-0 the rest of the way. So, just again, just a little bit of a little kickstart for some of these teams, and they start rolling, man. Are you starting to kind of hitch a little bit of your pinkies onto this bandwagon?
I think so. I think the Hoosiers really got something going on right now. I think they they somehow win this football game. I know it's Michigan State, but Justice Ellison, their leading rusher, only has 32 yards on 9 carries. We're talking about a team that really doesn't produce much on offense, but is still able to get out there and get points. And it doesn't make a ton of sense because the yardage does not match what they're putting out. This is 47 points in 3 quarters, which that's damn good offensive production, but it doesn't look like it's coming from anywhere. I don't understand it.
Lots of turnovers in this game. A lot of short field opportunities here. I think that was kind of what was happening, and it didn't happen in a good way for Michigan State fans. Rough season for the Spartans. We kind of figured they weren't going to be a serious contender in the Big Ten, but almost on the verge of missing a bowl game here for the Spartans. That could be SpaghettiOs. For them, but in the end, Indiana again trying to solidify themselves as a legit playoff team this season, which I think they're well on their way. A team that's probably not going to be in that conversation is Kansas State because they lost to Houston on the road, and
Yeah,
Houston is not good. And
that's
uh,
not good.
and like you said, the Big 12 cannibalizing itself. This was not on my radar. I mean, this was not a game I
Yeah,
had
I really
circled
did
for
not think
Kansas
this was going to
State.
happen even. This wasn't even close. If you had told me the spread was minus 22 K-State, I would have taken it. I mean, this was embarrassing. There's no other way to put it. Straight up embarrassing. Um, God, Houston's so bad. Did you see them against OU? I mean, shit, we didn't have our top 5 receivers. We didn't have most of anything. Like, we had nobody. We had turnovers galore, and we at least beat Houston. Like, this, that's terrible. You're telling me that OU, that depleted, might be better than Kansas State right now?
I
Is that how bad the Big 12 is?
I think Avery Johnson being a mobile quarterback is still a problem for your defense. I think you don't do well against mobile quarterbacks. I think
I'm not talking about a matchup. I'm just saying,
oh,
like,
you're saying it's just. I mean, yeah. Hey, if you're using
the entire Big 12, like, is that what I'm looking at right now? Because that's not how I feel. That's like OU's terrible, and I'm still feeling like they're better than the entire Big 12. That's how bad this Big 12 is without OU and Texas in it. We're talking about the best team in the fucking conference, supposed to be Oklahoma State. I mean, look at what's going on there. It's a disaster. It's an absolute disaster at Oklahoma State, and like the only team that's even got a semblance of decency right now is Iowa State, and that's not something you want to see.
Yeah, as far as the old Big 12, you are correct because right now carrying the torch is those BYU Cougars, baby. And 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 that's not something you want to necessarily see if you're a Big 12 fan prior to the additions of these teams. SMU, another addition to the ACC, getting it done against Pitt. This was supposed to be a big game, Zach, and again, this game was 31-3 at halftime. This game was over at halftime. People were like, "Oh, Pitt might be for real." I think SMU might be the one that's for real here as far as being a contender for the ACC championship. That is your ball. That was in your court. You believe that they were legit contenders. Do you think they're still on a collision course for Miami?
SMU?
Yeah.
100%. I think that they can. I mean, they have one loss, and I think it's a decent loss, and it's fine. And they have been putting up the numbers that I think support them going to that ACC championship. However, I mean, they still don't necessarily deserve to be in over Clemson, I don't think. I mean, Clemson's still the better team if you're just putting a gun to my head and making me choose one. But I think SMU to be in that discussion? Yeah, I do. And I think that, this is a good football team. I think this is a football team that deserves to be ranked at the end of the season. And I think, possibly if they can win out the rest of their games, I'm looking at this team maybe being like number 11.
Yeah, they have Boston College, Virginia, and California as their last 3 games. They have a bye week this week.
What you're supposed to do, don't win all those games by 3 touchdowns or more, and I think you're in.
Yeah, I think I agree. And their only loss, you know who their only loss is?
It's BYU.
Yep, and it's only by 3. And so I mean, I think they have a really good case.
And listen, they just beat Louisville, who beat Clemson.
Yeah, so I mean, there's there's arguments to be made that the Mustangs could be back in full effect in a bigger, better conference. At least what people thought when they joined it. So they're taking it quite well. Ole Miss took it quite well to Arkansas, 63-31. Just too many turnovers again for Arkansas.
Yeah.
Again, we've said this time and time again. Arkansas is one of the most talented teams in the SEC. They just get in their own way. And it's been like that all season. And the games that they don't get in their own way, they win. We've seen that. So, this is another case. And Ole Miss puts up the most points they've put up in SEC play since they had SEC play. So good for them. Maybe that'll put them back on track for something, because they are 3-2 in conference and looking to try to fight for a chance to try to squeeze themselves into a possible SEC championship. They're gonna have to get some help, but they're still mathematically in the hunt here.
Yeah, 100%. And you're looking at Jackson Dart. Talking about 6 incompletions, 25 of 31, 515 yards, 6 touchdowns against Arkansas, against an SEC defense. That's so impressive. This guy's impressive, and I think we're going to be, seeing him in the NFL here.
Yeah, he'll probably be on an NFL roster, for sure. Now to the Service Academy, Army, the only ranked Service Academy right now, and still the only undefeated Service Academy. Playing Air Force, they get the job done, 20-3. Nothing really to see here. But the funny thing is the Air Force quarterback was the leader in passing for this game, and he only had 54 yards. So
14 for 54 and 1 interception. Talk about a good football game.
yeah,
This one is what I want to see. You know what Army's doing? Triple option, baby.
Yeah, running the football.
Triple option, baby.
Yeah, running the football for sure. If you take a look at this box score, you'll kind of be able to break this down a little easier here. Starting quarterback for your Black Knights, 5 of 8 for 48 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. But that same guy, 16 carries, 42 yards. So only accounted for 90 yards of offense. But their running back, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns on 22 carries. That'll get the job done. That'll get the job done against a team as bad as Air Force. And Army continues to just move along here. I don't think this is going to be a playoff contender, Zach. I think you're looking at the outside in here. But someone's going to get a bowl game they do not want against an Army team that's gonna play their starters.
Oh yeah. Here's what I think though. If Army's undefeated at the end of this season, what does the playoff committee do? Why not put Army in?
I think strength of schedule is a big thing. I mean, I think you look at their strength of schedule and it's just not. I mean,
I'm gonna deny the United States Army a position in the college football playoff if they're undefeated. I don't think they can.
It comes down to November 23rd. It comes down to the Notre Dame game. If they can beat Notre Dame, I think you have a better argument for them to be. If they can do that and then beat Navy at the end of the year, I think there's no reason why Army should not be that 12th seed. I do not see any reason why they should not be. I will give you that.
There we go. That's what I think we'll have to see from the committee. I don't, especially if they, what if they, lose by 3 to Notre Dame? Then you got a situation. I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. And to round it up here, 25-17, Minnesota over Illinois, another upset. Minnesota kind of on the climb here, Zach. They are mathematically still in it for a possible Big Ten championship appearance. Now, I'll be honest here. Minnesota's got a really tough road ahead of them, though. And by that, I mean two out of their 3 games are winnable for them. Got Rutgers and Wisconsin. They could win those 2 games. The game you got to circle is, again, 23rd of November. Circle that weekend. A lot of big games. It's going to be Penn State at home for the Gophers. That place better be rocking because, again, you're looking at a team right now that is the 6th best team in the conference here. Iowa ahead of them, Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana. And right now, Indiana is ahead of Oregon in the rankings for the Big Ten right now. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't want that kind of pressure. I don't need that kind of pressure. We don't think about pressure. Thumbs down, gladiator style, watch the fans file out. That's all we care about. But I think you could see Minnesota sneak in here if Indiana, Ohio State, and Penn State, and especially Iowa, if they start dropping some games here, they could find themselves in there because Iowa's got UCLA, Maryland, and Nebraska. Telling me they can't lose 2 out of those 3? They could lose 2 out of those 3. Iowa's not special. They're not good. They beat bad teams. But, I mean, Maryland surprised some people. They have UCLA tonight. That game is going on right now. I don't think there's a score in it, but it's going on. I can look here and see. 7-0 Iowa. So good start. Good start for the Hawkeyes in the first quarter. UCLA not good. But Maryland's no joke, and Nebraska could beat them. So those are the 2 you got to look at if you're Iowa to try to fend off the surging Gophers. Penn State, they look like they're pretty solid right now. They have Washington, Purdue, Minnesota, and Maryland. So obviously, like I said, the Penn State game for Minnesota is huge. But look, Penn State could lose to Washington. They can lose to Maryland. Those are the only 2 teams out of those 4 teams I could see them losing to. I'm just saying mathematically this Minnesota team isn't out of it, and that win against Illinois helps them out a bunch.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if they, can find a way to win against some of those other teams, we're talking about the Penn States, we're talking about, I could see them getting that Big Ten championship. Well, no, it's not going to happen. I think, the Gophers are looking at a decent bowl game at best.
Yeah, I mean they're already bowl eligible, so if you can grab a couple more and end up 8-4 or something like that, I think that's something you can really hang your hat on. Because I think a lot of people early on in the season were like, man, this Minnesota team isn't going to be very good, and surprisingly they've been surging, and it's been a good thing for those people out there in Florida. So yeah, that wraps up college football week 10, and let's go ahead and head into the discussion here. Look, OU big victory against Maine. Some good stuff, bad stuff. And here's what I want to point out before I hand the floor over to you, brother. Is when I was filing out of the stadium, walking in my car at the beginning of the fourth quarter because the game was out of reach, and I knew that this thing was gonna be nothing but OU. I didn't even think Maine was gonna score again. I don't think they did. I was listening to post game, and it was just a big circle jerk between everybody talking about how good OU looked. And I left that game being concerned, and I'll tell you why. You had a snap go over Jackson Arnold's head. You had a bad option pitch that ended up being a fumble. You had a pass to the outside across the field on a curl route that could have been picked off by anybody that's not a Maine cornerback while you're staring down your receiver and not even going through your progressions. Which, again, that's been a problem for Jackson all season long. I'm not going to say that's not just because he's young. It is. But it's something that at least you should be like, come on, Jackson. You can't just stare down your receiver and not even, give the defense any semblance of where you're not going with the football. Every third and long, he was looking for Jacob Jordan and was locked onto him as his first read, which I don't mind. I think Jacob Jordan is growing on everybody as a reliable target for Jackson Arnold in this offense. But I think that if it's third down, and literally every single time, third down, Jackson Arnold's head, boom, right to 86. It's as if he doesn't even look anywhere else. And then once he's not there, he starts to panic. It's terrible. He starts to panic. He's like, well, where do I go now? I've wasted too much time trying to see if Jacob can get open. So those were things that I saw that nobody, I'm talking about nobody, not the beat writers, not the post game guys, not the homers that were actually calling the game. Nobody brought any of this stuff up, and I want to know from an OU fan's perspective, are any of these things concerning to you, or is it just like, it's Maine, who cares? Because I'm thinking about this in the context of this is an SEC opponent. Those are turnovers. That's a pick six. That's going the other way. That the defense is going to jump on this. Like, that's what I'm looking at. But people just seem to be like la 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 about the fact that it's just so good. Like, a way to get them on track.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with everything you said. I think that there are a lot of concerns after that Maine game, especially, considering the fact that we let them kind of drive us down on an opening drive and score. I wasn't happy about that from the defense perspective, but obviously the offense has been the main concern for OU all season. I don't think it looked any better than it has all season against a worse, terrible opponent. And like you said, against an SEC team, a lot of those, bad plays, those third and longs to Jacob Jordan, those pitch fumbles, those snaps over the head. The SEC going to get punished for those kind of things, and seen that in the SEC all year. I mean, they're 1-4 in the SEC. This isn't a team that or 1-3. My apologies. Is that right? Or are they 1-4?
1-4, I believe, if I am.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, because
in the SEC, and I think and 1-4 for that very reason, right?
Yeah.
And it's just carelessness, the fumbling, making bad decisions. And listen, obviously he's missing targets, and I think Jacob Jordan has developed into a nice, reliable target. Really had all season, but with the Mizzou game coming up this week, we have Deion Burks and Farouk are both designated to return. Both Brady Cook is out. I think, this week could be a really good one for OU. You're going to win against an opponent that's supposed to be pretty good. But, looking back on that Maine game, yeah, I'm not impressed by Javonte Barnes. I don't care that it was Maine. I've been and it sucks that he, got a little banged up and he's not able to play against Missouri. But I like you said, I wasn't too impressed by anything. I was happy we came out with a significant win. But yeah, nothing really impressive here. I mean, they're barely above a JUCO team. I mean, we're supposed to be able to beat them like that, so I'm not going to get too excited about putting up 59 points on Maine. Especially when, like you said, Jackson really didn't look that good when he's in pressure situations like that, where he's in kind of a situation that he's not comfortable, not taking care of the ball.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, okay, so that, I just wanted to make sure that I'm not crazy, and that, and that those were things that most people would be concerned about heading into a game against an opponent that is no
Yeah,
doubt better than the Maine Black Bears.
yeah, and listen, I felt the same way after the Temple game, right? After the Temple game, the season opener, I was looking at this OU team, and I told you I was like, I wasn't that impressed. It was Temple, and we should have beat them better than that. Like there were some dumb mistakes, and I kind of chalked it up to first game of the season then. But it's still showing up later in the year, and I think that this could be a bigger issue than we really think. Considering that we had that whole off season, it doesn't too much on discipline in the entire offseason.
Yeah, I think when you saw how bad it was on third down against bad teams the first 3 games of the season, it was like, boy, this is shaping up to be a real big problem come conference play, and we saw it unfold. I mean, you take away that Kip Lewis pick six, and you probably don't have an SEC win. I think
Exactly.
that's reality. And as we transition to talking about Missouri here, like you said, no Javante Barnes with the ankle injury. It just didn't heal during the week the way they would hoped it did. Um, you get Farouk back, you get Burks back, but you're missing 3 of your offensive linemen heading into this week. And I think that's a big issue because even with those guys on the field, your offensive line is stunk. So having those guys unavailable is not going to help your case at all against the Missouri defense, who the best part of their defense is the defensive line. We saw how that played out against South Carolina. We could see a similar way as far as pressure and stuff being generated by the front 4 or 5 of this Missouri defense, because their defense is not good. But the one good part that they do have is a defensive line, and the worst part you have is your offensive line. That could be real big trouble. And I get it, Sawchuk is back. I mean, good news for you, right? But Sawchuk is in between the tackles runner, and he's been averaging like 0.2 yards a carry. So I don't really think that that's going to really help you when your offensive line is already depleted and you're going against a defensive line that is the best part of your opponent's defense. I think it's just a recipe to have a really stagnant afternoon. You're going to see a ton of screen passes. You're going to see a lot of quick routes, a lot of slants, a lot of mesh concepts. You're going to see a lot of pick concepts as well to try to free up Burks and try to free up Farouk, because I'm going to be honest, I don't know if Jackson Arnold's going to have any time to throw it deep. I just don't think he is, because I think that's where Missouri struggles, is in the passing game. And if you don't have time to protect and you're bootlegging everything, or you're on the run and having to try to go through progressions while you're in motion and stuff like that, it's just not really something that this team is comfortable doing. And I think it's just a recipe for a disastrous afternoon, or I should say evening. It's a 6:45 kick. I mean, prime time, baby, out there on the SEC network. I mean, even if you don't have to go against Brady Cook and it's Drew Pine back there taking snaps, who hasn't looked fantastic. I don't think they have Theo Weiss available to them. I think it's just Luther Burden III as their star wide receiver going to be out there. I don't think defensively you're going to be challenged much, but you could be. I mean, both these defenses could be out there for a majority of the game. I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with that. I mean, neither of these teams are going to be producing much on offense, but I think that Deion Burks and Fruit can provide a little bit of a safety net for Jackson Arnold. Getting across in the middle, just beating their guys off separation really early. If they can beat somebody really early in a cover zero kind of situation, then you have the opportunity for something like a deep ball where you just lob it up and hope and pray that they create some separation. I think that you have a little bit of room for that against Missouri. That, and I think that it can't get any worse, right, than what we've already seen, which is promising against a team that's already going to be depleted against their wide receiver 2. They're depleted their quarterback 1. Like, this is a situation. Yeah, it's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be defense playing against defense, but I like OU's chances of getting touchdowns on defense a lot more than Missouri's. because they have a backup quarterback back there, and he's probably going to throw a pick or two, and that's going to help our defense. And they have to be forced to throw the ball a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you're correct on that. I think you're gonna see turnovers. Drew Pine's a gunslinger. He's a guy that thinks he can fit the ball into places that normal people can't. He's got that Brett Favre in him, baby. He's got that I can fit it,
Baker in him.
mentality. So he's got that mentality, and he doesn't have the talent to back it up. We saw that when he came in a couple weeks ago. It didn't look very good. I think another thing you got to think about is if these two guys are playing for you guys, it will give you an opportunity to free up your Brennan Thompsons, your Hesters, your Jacob Jordans. I think if anything, the effectiveness of having Farouk and Burks backs makes the defense have to prioritize those guys, even if neither of them are 100%, which I don't think they are. I don't think Farouk is really a deep threat. I don't think Burks is all the way there. But again, having those guys on the field will open it up for these other guys that, because of that depletion at that position, you've gotten a little bit more comfortable with over the last few weeks. So I think that in the end, just having them on the field could be the best part of the offensive game plan, is just having to have the defense take account for the fact that these guys are out there.
Yeah, I think so. I think it provides a lot of cover for some of those deeper threats, like you said, like Hester and Thompson. We've obviously seen those guys get out there and get some deep balls this year already. So yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do when they have fast guys, really fast guys like Farouk and Burks out there.
So what do you see the final score being tomorrow? Give us your final score prediction.
I'm looking at probably like a 24 to 20 situation. OU.
Okay. I've already solidified my pick of Missouri this week before knowing any of the injury stuff, so I got to roll with that. I've already put it out publicly that I have Missouri by 14. But that was actually, as I said, before I knew Brady Cook was sitting, any of this stuff. So I'll sit by it. I'll take it. I think Drew Pine can generate some offense. He is a D1 quarterback. He's started at several programs. He's not just some backup. So he's got some experience playing against D1 defenses. I think that is definitely to their advantage. And it's also to his advantage to know that Brady Cook's not going to play and them to be able to work with him throughout the week. I think it's different than just being thrown into a game because Brady Cook is hurt. You've had time to game plan with this specific quarterback all week. So I think that should, again, kind of help alleviate some of that drop off, but I don't know if it'll be enough. I kind of am leaning now towards you because he's on the field. But as I said, I'm a man of my word. I picked who I picked. I got to stand by it. If I'm wrong, I'm not going to be upset about it because OU needs this to be bowl eligible. They have Alabama and LSU next 2 games. I don't feel good about those games at all. So this is the game.
No.
This is the game for them. They have to win. And we're still hoping for that Liberty Bowl Bedlam matchup. So I mean, we're still rooting for it deep down in our souls. I want to see.
Oklahoma State's gonna get 6 wins.
They got a chance. I mean, they're playing enough games. That's all I know is there's enough games left for. They got TCU this week. That's all they need to beat is TCU. If they can beat TCU, they're looking like some bowl eligibility, baby. That would be their 6th win. Or sorry, not that it would be their. Well, I take that back. I forget they're 3-6. They got to beat TCU.
Yeah.
They got to beat. They got to win out. They got to win out. Good luck. I mean, hey, I think they could win their next 2 games. I think they could beat TCU and Texas Tech. But beating Colorado on the road, we talked about this before the season started. That's not going to be an easy win, and definitely not going to be an easy win now. But hey, you win these last 3. I think you got a good argument for getting that matchup, and I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for it just because I'm a sicko. I'm just a fucking sicko. I know that neither team would play any of their starters, but I'm a sicko, and I want to see really bad football out there in Memphis, and I'm sure we would be seated for that one. Road trip city, baby. But yeah, that'll wrap up your OU recap preview for this week, brought to you by St0ner Sports Radio. Now, I'm going to hand it over to you again, Zach, here for this segment here, because this is definitely something I want to hear your thoughts on. The Thunder no longer perfect, but right now beating the snot out of the Rockets and looking to improve to another victory as part of a 6-game road stint that they have going on at the Paycom Center. Kind of break down. I know that Denver had a spectacularly fantastic night from Russell Westbrook, considering Jamal Murray was not playing for them, which you've pointed out might have been to their benefit, considering how he's been playing. But the Nuggets get the win at home against the Thunder to give them their first loss. But how are we feeling overall right now? Because I'm still feeling great.
Yeah, I'm still pumped. I still think that this team is really, really good. I think that we had a couple of coaching errors there against the Nuggets that really, led to a loss. Nobody played great, and I think that that's fine. You're going to have games like that all season that you're not going to play great. I'm still thinking that this team can win, up to 70 games based on how they played so far. And listen, if it takes Westbrook in year 17, giving the Thunder 29 points, then so be it. If that's how we lose, that's just how it's going to have to happen, I guess. But like Murray, he's obviously progression. I think some of his early kind of caught up to him a little bit. We're starting to see him slow down a lot, and I don't be considered their starting point guard right now, considering what he's been able to do in some of these games this season already. He's had multiple games where he's dropped over 20 points. Has he had a couple stirs? Yes, but I think you just got to let him get going a little bit. Give him the rock, and he can go out there and win a game for you like he did against the best defense in the league. But I'm still feeling really good about the Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, they look really good. They're going to improve to 8-1 on the season. Again, 5 more home games in a row for them. Looking good. But breaking news coming through the St0ner Sports Radio desk. The Cleveland Cavaliers are the first NBA team to start 10-0 since 2015. Congratulations to the Cavs. They beat the Warriors 136-117. Another good game for the Cavs. Is it surprising the Cavs are doing this well, or is this another case like they started off hot last season and kind of cooled off and weren't really a threat? Is this kind of the same vibe you're getting, or is this a different Cavs team that we should be looking at as Eastern Conference, finals contenders here?
Yeah, I think they might be. I think that they obviously have the personnel and they have the defense to be able to do that. So I like the Cavs, and I don't know if they're going to be able to beat the Celtics, but this, it's just a really good team. And listen, I have some other breaking news. A fight appears to have broken out on the flight for the Auburn's men's basketball team headed to Houston, which has caused the plane to be diverted back to land. The pilot apparently called air traffic control, saying we had a bunch of basketball players fighting, which has caused some issues in the pilot's ability to fly the plane safely. So just as an anecdote, how are we feeling about Auburn causing problems 30,000 feet up?
See, I say you have to isolate the person who lost the fight and kick them off the team. You can't. What?
Do you throw them out of the plane?
No. See, the plane's already grounded. See, they're already they're already on another flight right now to Houston. So it only delayed the flight 45 minutes. They went back and then they scheduled another flight for about an hour ago. They're already in Houston right now currently. So they're there. But I think whoever lost that fight, you gotta at least sit him. You can't have him play any minutes. And if he's a walk-on or if he's already on a starter, you gotta cut him. There's no room for losers on this team. If you're gonna fight and you win the fight, fine, you can stay on the team. You're gonna lose the fight, yeah, you gotta go. I mean,
Jordan Poole.
Yep. The Warriors did it to Jordan Poole. Sent him out to sent him to hell. Sent him to hell. Sent him to hell out there in Washington. But that's your Thunder update. We'll keep you updated as the Thunder continue to roll through the NBA season. They continue to be one of the hottest teams in the country and looking to be one of the finals favorites on many betting websites as the season progresses. So good news there. And that leads us into one of my favorite segments. It's Big Deal or No Big Deal. Cue the NFL Films music, baby. We're out here getting it here for the NFL. Let's start out with Thursday night. This game had already happened when we were doing our show last week. The Jets get the win over the Texans 21-13. Big deal, not big deal?
Not really a big deal. You just had a stinker, and that's okay. Happens. Big stinker, decent game by Aaron Rodgers. Not a big deal.
Big stinker there. Titans in overtime get the win over the Patriots. Drake May is insane in the regulation pass into the end zone to Ramondre Stevenson. Extends the game, but they lose the coin toss and then lose the football game. Big deal, no big deal.
Big deal. I think that Drake May really showed that he can be that guy for the Patriots, and I'm curious to see if you think that he could be a quarterback of the future for you.
You know, he's showing things that I didn't anticipate him showing. And it's concerning to me because I've been very vocal about, like, let's just draft another quarterback. I don't think he's the guy. But you look at a play like that to force overtime, and you look at the fight this kid has and how many times he gets hit. I mean, I mean, you might want to draft one anyways, because I don't know if he's going to be able to be healthy all season unless we start drafting some O-linemen. I don't say draft one in the first round, because I think you've got a good base here. I think he's showing some good signs, but you got to draft some offensive linemen. I mean, we need some help back there, man, because we have no run game. Ramondre Stevenson, the only way he gets yards is because he's just a bully, and you know how he rolls. I mean, that's your boy right there. I mean, you know he's just a damn, just a semi truck. He gives modern Jerome Bettis. He's the modern bus. He's the Greyhound. You know, I think that's the only really bright spot they've got. Offensively, they don't have any wide receivers either. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that our team needs, but Drake May is making me feel a little bit better about not having to go out and immediately grab somebody like a Jackson Dart.
Perfect.
Rams get the win over the Seahawks 26-20. Big deal, not big deal.
I'm going to say not really a big deal. These teams are pretty evenly matched up. Nothing to say here.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of those situations where the Seahawks were up big. Rams came back, forced overtime, and again, get that first touchdown to win overtime. So a win there for the Rams. They've improved to 4-4. Seahawks fall to 4-5. Bills get the win at home over the Dolphins 30-27. Big deal, no big deal?
It's no big deal. I mean, honestly, it should have been by more. We're looking at a Dolphins team that's obviously depleted. Tua's back, which is, whatever, but it's not looking like the Dolphins team that we thought we might see preseason. So I'm going to say not really a big deal. Should have been by more.
I'm going to say big deal because Tyler Bass, my man, has been hot and cold all season long, but to hit a 61-yarder to win that baby, I mean, hey, try to get in the good graces all you want. No one's going to let you forget that game last year where you missed. I'm just saying. But, a good confidence booster for him. I would like to see him kind of redeem himself and get a playoff winning field goal to kind of quell some of the hate and death threats he got after last season's loss.
Hey, it happens.
Yeah, it happens. It comes with the job description. Bengals get the win over the Raiders 41-24. 5 touchdowns for Joe Burrow. Big deal, not big deal?
Not really a big deal. Foreshadowing for what he did to me against my fantasy team yesterday. God, it's not good. Jamar Chase, oh God. Yeah, not really a big deal here. I mean, the Raiders are bad.
Chargers get the win over the Browns 27-10. Jameis Winston plays poo-poo pee-pee bad after playing really good. Big deal, not big deal?
I'm gonna say not big deal. I mean,
both these teams are unserious.
Yeah. I'm not a fan. This one wasn't fun. I didn't want to watch this one.
yeah, got that right. Commanders get the win over the Giants 27-22. Big deal, not big deal for the Commanders having their best start since 1996.
I'm going to say big deal, but not for that reason. Big deal for the reason that they almost back there in the fourth quarter, and they really shouldn't be letting that happen.
It's true.
That was a close one there at the end, and I think that, if you're the Commanders, you worry about your ability to finish these games.
Yeah, 12-3 in the fourth quarter to try to make that a squeaker. Panthers, they get their second win of the season, baby, over the Saints 23-22. Big deal, not big deal?
Big deal. Bryce Young gets a win. I think that's big for him. I think that's big for his confidence. Maybe we'll see the rest of the season. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that pretty much solidifies that. Ravens get the win over the Broncos 41-10. Big deal, not big deal?
Not a big deal. I mean, the Broncos really don't have much of a defense anymore outside of that secondary. So, when you got a team like the Ravens, who are a heavy run team, I think that's the exact team that you want to play against the Broncos. And it worked, like we see.
Yeah, big time win for the Ravens. Eagles, they backwards hurdle their way over the Jaguars 28-23. Big deal, not big deal.
What a move. What a fucking move. I'm talking about the best move we've ever seen in football. That's the big deal. I mean, we're talking about a big deal. That was probably the best move I've ever seen in any sporting event I've ever watched in my life. I mean, how do you feel about it?
I was like, you didn't score, I don't care. I mean, it was like for 2 extra yards, eat me. I mean, look,
it's never been done. I don't think that's ever been done anywhere.
No, I agree. It's probably never been done because you're fucking backwards. But I mean, like, I get that why he did it. I mean, I just really wish he would have scored, because I would have think you could have labeled it the best play of all time. I really think you could have. But it's impressive, and you know what? I don't get bored watching it. But until they add that move into video games, I don't care.
Oh my god, what a move. What a move.
Add the animation now. Update the game now.
An Eagles fan, he bought a $300 poster of that move.
So brain dead. But yeah, no, fucking sickos. Cardinals get the win over the Bears 29-9. OU quarterback matchup here between Kyler Murray and Caleb Williams. Big deal, not big deal.
Not a big deal. These are not good teams. I thought the Bears would be a little bit better than this, but the offense didn't really put anything together. I don't know how much I blame Caleb Williams for that when his receivers don't seem to be able to get open at all.
No, he needs some more help for sure. But I still think he looks a lot better than I thought he was going to look coming into the season. True. Lions get the win over the Packers 24-14. Big deal, not big deal.
Not really a big deal.
Yeah,
I think this is a good. These are both good teams that you can watch out for in the NFC. And like I said, we've said this in the preseason. I think that the Lions are my pick this year to win the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna say not really a big deal.
Yeah, I'm agree with you there. Vikings get the win over the Fighting Joe Flacco's 21-13. The Vikings had 3 turnovers in this game and still won. Big deal, not big deal.
I'm just saying not big deal. I mean, obviously we get another good game by Justin Jefferson and 137. I mean, a guy that can do it all, but with he's quarterback proof. We said this when Sam Darnold was going to come in this season about Justin's ability to produce, and we told everybody quarterback proof. We knew this, and I think it's true. I think it's true. Now listen, this is the Indianapolis Colts. This is not a good team.
They are a playoff contending team now with Joe Flacco at the helm. I will not lose faith in the Colts, even though they are 1-4 in their division. Fight on, baby. Fight on.
This is our Colts.
Monday night special. This game was fun to watch, but the ending left me very, very, very upset because we didn't get a chance to have the ball in the hands of Baker Mayfield and OT. Buccaneers and Chiefs. They end the game tied at 24, and Chiefs won the coin toss, and you know what that means. Patrick Mahomes goes right down the field, gets that game-winning touchdown, 30-24. Big deal, not big deal.
I guess a big deal. I mean, well, it's awesome that Baker was able to really, throw it down with Pat Mahomes, against the best team in the NFL. But it's terrible that we don't get, the opportunity for quarterbacks to get the chance to go down there and drive it down the field. Sucks that you just have to hope and pray that the defense stops them. So it just takes one big play and it's over. It's bullshit, and I think that we got to change. It's got to change.
Yeah, rules got to change. I agree with that. Let's go ahead. I'll sneak this one in here. The Thursday night game from yesterday. The Ravens get the win over the Bengals, 35-34. Bengals had a chance to get the game into OT, right? Or was it to get the 2-point conversion? Well, what were they doing at the end there? I just saw that there was like blatant defensive pass interference on 2 different Ravens that drew no penalties. But if the Bengals were wearing those Chiefs uniforms, I think those flags would have been thrown pretty wildly. Big deal, not big deal by the huge games by everybody involved in this.
I mean, obviously, a big deal. You're looking at almost 500 yards from 264.
Yep.
From Justin Jefferson on 11 catches,
Jamar
3
Chase.
touchdowns. Jamar Chase, my apologies. I'm thinking LSU. I mean, seriously, what a game, what a performance! But to put up an L like that, I saw someone earlier say this is what Matt Ryan and who did for 5 years, was just lose but put up record-breaking numbers, and I think that that's kind of what we're seeing right now. Is the Bengals aren't really able to win these football games. The defense has been pretty garbage, and no one on the offense was really playing significantly well, except
for who?
Jamar Chase.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Who would you compare this duo to right now if this were an NBA team? Like what would be the NBA equivalent to this? Because in my estimation, the closest I can get right now. Yeah, like for like let's like 2 guys that put up buku numbers, but the team itself can't do anything when it comes to the postseason. Because my comparison was John Stockton and Karl Malone. Because they could never win the big one. But they were absolutely fantastic together. What would be your comparison for these two, considering the situation that's unfolding currently?
Penny and Shaq. Penny Hardaway and Shaq.
Oh yeah. The Magic duo. Yeah, Penny Hardaway and Shaq. That's a good one. I like that one. Just curious.
They don't have the team around them to really take them to that next level, to be able to beat Hakeem Olajuwon.
Oh, you are correct. Correct that. Well, you know what that means. That means we can turn down the NFL music and head over to the sports book. Whoa, let me get that out of the way.
Oh God, here we go.
Yeah, it's happening. It's happening. Go ahead and pull up last week's, and I'll tell you how bad it was, because it wasn't good. Oh, it's gonna pop up over here. It's gonna pop up over here. We're gonna get exposed. Here we go. Exposed. Here it is. I'm covering both of us up with it. Look, it was a good week for Zach. A little bit good for Zach. He got his he's got 19 cents. So we're gonna bump that up to 20. So he's got 20 cents again. Oh wait, I'm kidding. He lost both of them. He's 0 for 2. I read that wrong. Sorry. He had Maine plus 34.5. That didn't happen. I thought it was OU minus 34.5. That's rough. Had Texas A&M minus 3. That did not pan out as well. So both of us only get one game. I picked Arizona plus 6.5 against UCF. I don't know what the hell happened. Arizona, they lost by like 50 to UCF. I have no explanation for this, but we are in hell, folks. We are in hell. We are in pick hell. Welcome to pick hell. Look, we get one game apiece. Zach, did you need to peruse here, or are you locked into a pick here? Because I'm looking at my pick right now, and I gotta tell you, I haven't felt this good in a long time about a pick, but I'm feeling pretty good about this one. What you got? What you got?
The same one. I feel like we're looking at the same one right now.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm gonna go ahead and make my pick, and I'm gonna take Florida to cover the 21.5 point spread against Texas.
Florida to cover the 21.5 against Texas. Now that's a good pick, because I think you would actually make some pretty decent sized cheese on that. Let me put that into the old calculator here. Florida plus 21.5, put 10 cents on that to try to win 18. So you'd be close. We'd bump that up to 20. You'll be able to pick 2 games next week. Mine is not that game, but I like that pick. I'm going to go with one that you might find shocking. I'm going Kansas money line over Iowa State. They're only 2.5 point dogs. I like Kansas to get their win. That would be 10 cents into 21 cents. So me and Zach would both be able to pick 2 games next week. But I like the Jayhawks here. What are your thoughts on the Jayhawks heading into this weekend at home against Iowa State.
That they're gonna lose.
All right. Well, that's. I just. I think this is the week.
That's a lot to put on. That's a lot to put on that. But hey, I like the goal.
I mean, 2.5 point spread. I feel like is pretty much a pick 'em. Now let me just go through some other lines here that are kind of standing out to me. Miami of Florida, only a 10-point favorite against Georgia Tech on the road. Your thoughts on that one?
I wouldn't touch it.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it. We know what happened last year. I wouldn't touch it either. Another one that stands out to me that I'm looking at right now is Georgia Ole Miss. Georgia only favored by 1.5 on the road against the Ole Miss Rebels. I like Georgia to win this game by way more than a point.
Yeah, I almost picked Georgia here as my game here to win, and just cover that 1.5 point spread. Obviously, I think Georgia's a much better football team, but it's a question of if Jackson Dart's gonna ball out or not.
Yeah, that is a question. What do you think about Colorado only being favored by 4.5 against Texas Tech on the road?
It's tough. Lovett's tough. They throw tortillas. I don't know.
I mean, get them ready. I think Texas Tech could do it. Do you like South Carolina being favored by 6 against Vandy on the road?
South Carolina by 6 against Vandy?
Yeah, at Vandy.
No, I don't like that. Diego Pavia just sued the NCAA. I feel like he's got something to prove.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Oklahoma State, 10.5 point dogs on the road against the Horned Frogs. Does line seem right to you?
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, it does.
What about Tennessee minus 24.5 against Mississippi State? Because, I mean, Mississippi State's going to put up some points.
I'd actually take Mississippi State to cover that one. I feel like they can score enough to cover that.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to win, but I think that's a good one as well. My Ducks are 24-point favorites against Maryland. I like it. If we can get that done in the first half, I think that'll be good. But you know me, we're not second half teams like the rest of these guys.
Exactly.
And last one I wanted to ask you about is this one. Kind of stood out to me. Alabama minus 3 on the road against LSU. Your thoughts on the game of the week?
One more time.
Alabama minus 3 against LSU.
I like LSU. I think I like LSU.
I think it's gonna be. You think that spread is right?
I really like the line. Actually, I think that's a great line, and I think that you take. I think that you take LSU to. I think you take LSU money line. If you're betting right now.
I think I would take that over the spread for sure.
Yeah. I would probably also take the over. I'm looking at 58.5 over.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a 9-6 ball game. God, you remember that though? You remember how disappointing that game was?
Yeah, that was a bad one. Yeah.
I hated watching that game. All the Big Ten people were jerking themselves off to that game. I was like, you guys are sickos.
Yeah, that's sick.
What do you think about BYU only being a 3-point favorite against Utah on the road? I mean, I think BYU wins that game by 15 or something. I just don't see Utah being able to hang.
Wait and see. I don't think that you can set a line any better than.
It is a rivalry game, I guess.
Team like Utah.
I like it, but I think you had to do that. OU minus 3. You still like that? You still feeling good about that? Okay.
I like it. I feel like it's the move.
That'll do it. That's all we got for you, folks. This is episode 85. We're out here. We did it. Any final thoughts before we get out this weekend?
No, I don't think so. I think remember Chad Johnson? Ocho Cinco.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, 85, baby. We're out here. Ocho Cinco in it up, baby. I don't know why I had to pause for a minute to make that connection. I'm like, oh, did he die?
No, but speaking of that, we will be rest in peace, Ben Herbstreit. This one's hurt.
This one's for you, Ben, baby.
This tribute to Paul Morgan's gonna make a grown man cry.
Yep, he did, and that grown man went to work the next day. Props to Kirk for holding it together. I don't know if I could hold it together, and I felt bad for Kirk because I felt like he felt guilty for like calling that game, like he should have been at home or something. And I think Ben would have wanted him there. I think as many times that he's been in the booth with Kirk the last year and a half, I think that he would have wanted him to call that game. I think Kirk made the right choice of going to work for Amazon yesterday and calling a whale of a game. He got a whale of a game. I think that might have been the NFL's tribute to Ben, giving Kirk a good game to call with the great Al Michaels. Yeah, well, that'll do it for us. Send you into the weekend. Make sure you click that subscribe button, like it up, everything like that. And we'll see you next week. Keep stick on the ice, and we're heading towards Thanksgiving, the best holiday of the season. So get your bellies ready. Get ready to go on a walk. Give yourself the most bloodshot eyes you've ever gotten in your life, and then eat until you literally almost shit your pants. So, I mean, there you go. From all of us here, 85 and out.